am not me.
This is one of the biggest mysteries in Five Nights at Freddy's history. What actually happened to Glamrock Freddy?
Are you okay? He's functional.
With so many theories on the internet, it's hard to decipher what's actually true about our beloved Freddy, and is he even alive? All the animatronics have had something horrific happen to them, even our beloved Roxy. And things only get even more complicated with the fact that there's 6 endings in total, and the ending which could actually signify what happened to Freddy may actually shock you. So let's start with the ending which makes the most sense as to what happened with Freddy, and that ending is the disassembled Vanny ending. Now if you remember, this is the ending where you decide to stay in the Pizzaplex with Freddy and come up with a master plan to take down Vanny and sneak up on her. This involves them going to her secret hideout in the Fazer Blast and doesn't go according to plan, especially for Freddy. Because as you remember, Freddy walks in, all guns are blazing, gets absolutely destroyed by the helper bots because Vanny decides to order them to disassemble Freddy. A very anticlimactic end for our hero. He gets pushed off the bridge and completely torn to shreds by the helper bots. With the little amount of battery he got left, he's still able to communicate with Gregory and tells Gregory to go up to her hideout to turn the helper bots against Vanny.
Turn them against Vanny.
And as ordered, these bots rip Vanny to shreds. But it's a little bit too late for our hero and beloved Freddy, because as you can see on the screen there, our beloved bear has been torn a new one. And let's not overlook the fact that his stomach does actually look like the Freddy we see in Security Breach Ruin. But does that actually mean this is what happened to Freddy? Well, let's take a closer look and a deep dive. We do know from Security Breach to Ruin, the Pizzaplex is closed down and left abandoned. And the Freddy we see in Ruin does have his chest/stomach ripped open like we see in the ending of Security Breach here. But there is something massively wrong with this ending. The Freddy we see in Ruin has a prototype marker on his foot, and the Freddy we see in Security Breach does not. This only gets even more confusing because in the original trailer for Ruin, Freddy did not have that prototype mark, so they actually added it in during the final release of Security Breach Ruin. So why would they have done that? And let's not forget this huge issue at the end of Security Breach. Freddy still has his head, and in Ruin, he does not. However, you could easily argue that something would have happened to Freddy from the ending of Security Breach to the beginning of Ruin. Because there is the possibility that it could have just fallen off, decayed, something could have hit it, a staff bot, whatever. But as we continue with the video, you will soon learn that that is not the case at all. So for now, we're gonna say that this is not what happened to Glamrock Freddy. So then what did actually happen to our beloved Fredbear? So now let's talk about and address the ending which a lot of people believe is canon, and that ending is the Burn Trap ending. Now, as you remember, this is the ending where Burn Trap comes alive, we eventually defeat him, burning him, and the blob comes alive and takes him for his own, whilst Freddy and Gregory escape a completely disintegrating Pizzaplex before it's burned and buried to the ground. We then see the pair in a happily ever after sitting on a lovely green hillside, indicating that they've escaped, and thus the good ending. But you might be asking and thinking to yourself, well, how is this possible and how would this even be the ending? Because as we've seen earlier, Glamrock Freddy is abandoned and we see him in ruin in pieces. So it's impossible he made it out of the Pizzaplex. But as we said earlier, this Freddy has the prototype logo on the bottom of his foot. And let's not forget, this was not present during the original Ruin trailer. They added this in after the release. So why would Steelwool add this in? Well, obviously they want us to make the connection that this is not the real Freddy, because he does not have that mark in the original Security Breach. Now, one could clearly argue that this was obviously an oversight and they never put this in the original game because this story was never drawn up. Now, I do actually have a couple of reasons of why this could be, because obviously they want us to know that that isn't the Freddy and Freddy isn't in the Pizzaplex, or at least not seen in Ruin. There's also a good theory of the fact that the Mimic could have actually been controlling this prototype Freddy to confuse Cassie.
What are you?
I, Gregory.
And thus confirming this was never the original Freddy. It also gives us that hope that Freddy is still alive and nothing bad or nasty has really happened to him. Well, that is until I cover the next ending, and the ending I believe is the complete and true ending, and the one which makes the most sense. And that ending being the Princess Quest ending. Now let me fully explain. Now, if you remember, this is the ending where you complete all the mini-games dotted around the arcade in the arcade machines, with the last one actually being in Vanny's office. And as you know, this is actually the secret ending. At the end of Princess Quest 3, you see the character go up to the wall, breaks it, goes through, there's a scream, and then the screen goes black and says error. It then shows all the helper bots going from evil back to normal, as well as Vanny's mask being completely dropped on the floor. The next scene then shows Gregory holding a duffel bag, and who is inside the duffel bag? Our boy Freddy. Well, just the head anyway. Unexpectedly, we see Vanessa coming from the exit. The scene then moves to the three of them sitting on a hill eating ice cream, and thus signaling the true good ending. Vanessa, Freddy and Gregory sitting on that hillside, and all is good. But this isn't an open shut case and requires a lot more explaining than meets the eye. And why would this even be the canon ending? Well, first of all, there are a lot of hints scattered throughout Ruin which indicate that the Princess Quest is indeed the canonical ending. And the first big one is all the drawings you collect from Gregory throughout Ruin. And each of them drawings which you collect is every single ending throughout Security Breach, apart from the Princess Quest. And why would that be? Because Princess Quest is the true ending, and actually happened. And not only that, if you go to Fazablast, you can see the Princess Quest machine, the last machine you actually use, on its side impaled with the Princess Quest sword, which tells us the Princess Quest ending did actually happen and that Glitchtrap was defeated, freeing Vanessa from his control, with the sword indicating that as proof. There is no sign of Glitchtrap throughout Ruin, and MXES is a completely different entity, nothing to do with Glitchtrap. And as you know, MMEX was created to keep the Mimic at bay and keep him sealed up in concrete. And that program was actually created by Gregory and Vanessa. But that would have meant that Gregory and Vanessa would have had to have returned to the Pizzaplex to create this program, stopping the Mimic from escaping. So how was that possible, and where's the evidence? Well, firstly, we know that Gregory to be an absolutely exceptional hacker, not only from the books, but it's also indicated in the games as well. So that would show that he has the knowledge to create such a program. Further to this, in the Mimic's room just outside, we see a bag. That bag actually belongs to Gregory, as it has his name tag written on it. This would indicate that Gregory has been indeed down to this location sometime after its closure. This is also confirmed in the fact that the Mimic uses Gregory's voice to lure in Cassie.
You saved me. You saved me. Gregory? I'm Gregory.
The only enemy which locked him and sealed him away, hence why he uses Gregory's voice. He would have had to have known Gregory to use his voice and likeness. It's also further cemented that this is the true ending, because obviously in Ruin we see the dismantled Freddy without his head, because Freddy's head was actually taken by Gregory and Vanessa, indicating that part of the dissembled ending and Princess Quest ending were true, where Gregory and Freddy go to tackle Vanessa, Freddy gets dismantled by the helper bots, Gregory then completes Princess Quest, freeing Vanessa from the control. They pick up Freddy's dismantled head from the destroyed helper bots and escape the Pizzaplex together. Although there is one massive problem with this entire theory. Why Steelwool decided to add that prototype to the base of the original Freddy body. This doesn't make any sense at all, because in the original trailer, as we discussed, there was no mark. They added this in later for the final release. Why? It makes no sense. Everything else fits perfectly. Freddy with no head, the chest cavity being torn open, Vanessa free from Glitchtrap's control, the mask being on the floor. The location in which you find Freddy's body in Fazablast is where he was dismantled. In the dismantled ending, it all fits. So why did Steelwool add this prototype to the bottom of his foot? It is kind of a shame to think that our boy Freddy got completely ripped apart and his body was left there, but we know his brain, his head, his personality are intact and with Gregory. But I'm sure we'll have that answer in the next installment of Five Nights at Freddy's. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Twisty Animatronic, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for plenty more Five Nights at Freddy's content coming up, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers now. Bye bye.